On today's content, a build guide for my Arborix Phys only Slayer Duderino. Before we start, if you don't follow the lore on the channel, I did say I was gonna diversify the content around these parts. However, one of the games I was gonna cover crashed and burned on its release date. On the other hand, I'm still thinking of what kind of content to make for Destiny 2, so that's still in the air. So now we come back to the character you're currently witnessing in the background. Let me preface this by letting you know that this build is going to be a bit expensive. You're going to need a 6-link Arborix, a 6-link chest piece with maim on it, a helmet with an extra barrage projectile enchantment, a quiver with an extra arrow, and the gear has to be on point with life, resistances and defenses to make the playing of the character as smooth as humanly possible. We're also going to be anointing the amulet with Disciple of the Slaughter and crafting frenzy charges on the amulet and a ring. It is going to be a bit expensive to get all of things in order, however the end product is a lot of fun to play with. I am going to show you the skill tree right now. I respect my Cyclone Slayer to this setup because I didn't feel like leveling another character, so in a sense this is not precisely a leveling guide. The skill tree looks like this. Let's talk about the gear now. The weapon is an Arborix and I recommend 100% getting a 6-link. This is where your map clearing skill setup is going to be socketed. The more damage said skill deals, the faster we go and the smoother this build feels. On the chest, a 6-link with maim on hit. Mine is terrible, but serrated fossils are not cheap and I ended up keeping this roll. Optimally, having more life and a resist or 2 is the way to go. For the helmet, we want the enchantment Barrage fires an additional projectile and we are going to fossil craft it with jagged fossils for the nearby enemies take increased physical damage. You also want life and a resist or 2. On the gloves, we want equipped gloves with life, resists, maybe accuracy if you need it, and an open prefix to craft increased damage while leeching. As a slayer, we are going to be taking advantage of this craft constantly. If you can get physical damage to attacks as well on this slot, GG. Next are the boots. I recommend 2-toned boots. You need life, movement speed, additional resists, and strength is also a nice thing to get in this slot. For the quiver, you want life, crit multiplier or crit chance, physical damage to attacks, and bow attacks fire an additional arrow. Whether it's a corruption or a shaper mod, it's fine, just make sure you get a quiver with the mod. Next is the amulet and you want life, resistances, physical damage to attacks, global crit chance or crit multi and an open suffix. You are going to anoint the amulet with Disciple of the Slaughter and craft a minimum frenzy charge. At the same time, try to get a lapis, agate or turquoise amulet for intelligence because we need some in this build. One of your rings is going to be a Venopuncture. I am using this ring for shattering enemies when they bleed. It isn't super effective and it's partially due to me having like 70% chance to bleed, but it comes in handy and I recommend using it. On the other ring, you want vulnerability on hit and at the same time life, resists and an open suffix to craft one minimum frenzy charge. The belt is going to be a Stygian Vice and you want life, resists and an open prefix to craft increased damage. Optimally, use the jagged fossil to get increased global physical damage on this slot. The Abyssal Jewel socketed on the Stygian Vice has life, crit chance and resistances. The mods on the Jewel are up to you. On the other two regular Jewels, I have resistances, increased maximum life and either attack speed or damage. Again, up to you. Finally, for the flasks, a Dying Sun, a silver flask with increased attack speed and a diamond flask with increased crit chance crafted on it. Now we talk about gem links. For map clearing on the bow, I'm using a split arrow with chain, power charge on crit, faster projectiles, brutality and chance to bleed. Optimally, you want maim instead of faster projectiles, but Borichi is a bitch and he didn't want me to have 3 white sockets on the weapon. You can also use Tornado Shot and Laser multiple projectiles instead of Split Arrow and Chain, but that is up to you. For boss deletion, on the chest we want Barrage linked to Vicious Projectiles, Brutality, slower projectiles, increased critical damage, faster attacks, and remember that Maim is here intrinsically. For auras, we want Precision, Herald of Purity, and Flesh and Stone linked to Unenlightened. You also want a War Banner. That leaves us with 17% unreserved mana. You can ditch the War Banner if you want, but I personally like the 2.5 seconds of adrenaline when I place the banner. I'm kidding, but the banner is an additional source of damage that is a nice addition to our build, but if you wanna ditch it, it's fine. The rest of the gems are Decoy Totem, Flame Golem, Blink Arrow, and Blood Rage. I don't use Blood Rage as often since I already have 3 Frenzies with me at all times, but still, it doesn't hurt to have it here and there. You can also use Ball Haste if you want. Okay, so what can this guy do? Well, besides Uber Elder that I cannot be asked to spawn, everything seems to be dying pretty efficiently. Originally, I did not intend to play with this build because I wanted to do a Phys only wanting Gladiator, but a one with 300 physical DPS or more trades for at least 5 Exiles and a 6 linked Arborix is 3 Exiles. I don't know about you, but it was a no-brainer for me and that is why I ended up playing with this character's setup. There are a couple of drawbacks to the build. Venom Puncture isn't precisely that useful. Bleeding enemies don't always explode and I don't cause bleeds as often as I'd like, despite sitting at like 70% chance to bleed. I use this thing because I like having corpse detonation sources on my builds. I hate undead effects as those are cheap ways to kill the player in my opinion. The other option was using Hemophilia Gauntlets, but I needed vulnerability on hit corrupted on them to change both rings to better ones. That option wasn't very realistic in the end. At the same time, the build isn't precisely cheap as I spent around 7 Exiles on the guy and I feel like should I have not chipped out on a couple of things, he could have gone even further than his current state. But as always, the more you invest into your character, the more powerful they can become. The last drawback is Temporal Chains. Temporal Chains murders your clear speed to begin with, and when you get the Iron Reflexes status thanks to Arborix, it becomes hilarious to go slower than a turtle walking against the flow of a treadmill, so yeah, avoid that modifier at all costs. However, on the plus side, this build is fun as heck. He clears really fast, deletes bosses equally as fast, and is relatively safe to play. Between dodging and evasion or the Iron Reflexes thanks to Arborix, you end up with a character that is pretty competent everywhere he goes. It's been a while since I last played a bow character and this one was an absolute blast to play with. So yeah, that's the character. Again, as I said earlier, I'm still thinking of what kind of content to put out for Shadowkeep. I've been having a lot of fun playing it and I have the need to do something semi-productive with that fun. Anyways, that's it for today's content. As always, remember to subscribe, rate and comment. I normally make a joke at the end, but I'm dry on humor today, so this time you're free to go without a snarky joke. Take care and catch you on the next one.